1. Okay, so a bit of background. I started my current job half a year ago. It is nothing fancy, but a legal job in a governmental facility. When I was employed, there were plenty of red flags. I couldn't negotiate my pay with HR and was asked, "Well, do you want the job or not?" So I was placed at the lowest graduate pay. My new boss, Karen, also informed me that she was skeptical of men because they have a tendency to have a peacock attitude. In the trial period, Karen was joking about her right to have me dismissed without a reason. Yeah, that made me feel great about the work. Anyway, I started the work and quickly discovered that there is a lot of stress in the workplace. We've had a lot of resignations, people calling in sick, and last-minute tasks. The 3 remaining in my function are covering the work of 7 people. My function requires me to travel very often, so imagine getting 20 hours notice that you have to travel for 8 hours in your weekend, having a 70-hour work week. Though the contract says 40, and never being able to do our daily tasks, because there's always an urgent task. It is a mess, and due to people resigning all the time, especially us who hold a law degree, we have to work a lot of overtime with frequent travel to other parts of the country. My colleagues are amazing, and we have a lot of fun, even though we're stressed all the time. And colleagues break down crying due to the stress from time to time. Karen is actually quite nice, but should never have been put in charge of this department. Due to her boss being nasty to her, she will often take it out on me and my colleagues. After 6 months of verbal abuse, I started checking out the job market. I was quickly offered a job, closer to my speciality, with less overtime and a massive jump in my salary, 40+%. I accepted it on the spot and called Karen to resign. She took it sort of well. In 5 minutes, she was through all the grief stages: denial, "You couldn't have already found a new job," anger, "Who has stolen you from me? Give me his name and number." I didn't. Negotiation, "I'll match the pay." I told her that she can't, but agreed to not taking my stored-up vacation and getting it paid out instead. Depression. "You've been the biggest success story in employment that I've had. I can't replace you. This is saddening." Acceptance. "Okay, it's closer to your interests. I will miss having you working with me." Now all I have to do is work through my 30-day resignation period. I can manage it. A few days ago, we had an extraordinary seminar on well-being and stress at work. Yes, that is how bad it is there. We had to talk in groups, and in my group was Karen, another colleague who has resigned, and a recently promoted colleague. My recently promoted colleague made the point that with better well-being, better communication, respect of the work-life balance, and less stress, the retention would be better. Karen knew better. "OP and quitting colleague aren't quitting because of stress and lack of well-being. They're part of Generation Me first. I can't blame them for being part of an unfaithful generation that does not respect the workplace and is ungrateful for the chances provided." Yep, she really said that. I might take the last week off now. I'm done with Karen. We have both told her why we are quitting, and she's not even respecting our reasoning, but making it a problem that we don't live to work, but work to live. 2. So I work for one of many self-employable delivery apps that deliver food for various restaurants. On this particular day, I had gotten assigned to orders that were relatively close to each other. So I picked up the first order and get the second too. The first order, of course, gets dropped off first. It took me about 10 minutes to get to the first address and drop off the order, except I couldn't drop it off immediately since I had to hand it to the customer. This took an additional 5 minutes, since it took them forever to answer the door. Once that order had been completed, I was on the way to the next address. So I get to the next house to drop off this order, and this one also requests that I hand it directly to the customer. So I go knock on the door, and the following encounter ensues. A lady answers the door, about 5'8". She was a bit taller than me, blonde and kinda youngish looking. She has this look on her face like I was someone who had kicked a puppy or something. She crosses her arms and says, "Took you long enough. We saw you go all over the place except to drop off our food. Care to explain?" I was kind of shocked, but using my best customer service voice replied, "Sorry, ma'am. I had been assigned 2 orders and I was instructed to go to the first order first since it was closer, I assume. If there is an issue, you can contact the delivery app support and they can try to work with you." She was not happy about this. She then tells me that she wants her order remade and wants it for free, or she will call the restaurant and have me fired. She had been very rude at this point, and I really don't want to help her further. "Ma'am, I don't work for the restaurant. I'm an independent contractor. I am so sorry, but there is nothing I can do." After that statement, she became irate. She started to clap her hands and told me, "Okay, you wait right here. I got something for you." I decided it's time to leave, but before I could completely get off the porch, her husband came out. She was wearing a wedding ring, so I only assumed at this time. This would be confirmed later. He's at least 6 feet even, and started to scream at me to hold it right there. Now, for further context, I've trained in multiple martial arts and self-defense for years. I heard this man come out and yell. I immediately turned to face him because you never want someone who is potentially aggressive to have your back. I'm still backing up, but now I have turned to face him, only feet away. He started advancing towards me. "You're gonna get us a fucking refund or else," he screamed. I replied with the same statement I told the lady, but in a softer tone to attempt to de-escalate this man. As I'm mid-sentence, he pushes me back hard. As soon as he had pushed me, my instinct and training kicked in. As I regained my footing, I didn't get knocked down. I squared my stance and put my hands up to my face in case he tried to swing at me. I started to yell back at the guy and ordered him not to get any closer or put his hands on me. He then threw a wild punch that I slipped back with a lean and countered with a front kick to his stomach. This landed flush, confirmed by the most notable "oof" sound I have heard many times before. He folded slightly, exposing his face, so I followed up with a 1-2 as trained. After eating a 1-2, he fell to one knee. I moved back slightly to disengage and told him to stay down so I can leave. Once again, you never just turn your back on an aggressor. He got up, red in the face, and screamed at me, "Fuck you, I'll kill you!" and attempted to charge me. He threw another wild punch after another. I ate one, but slipped and ducked under the second to get around and take his back. From here, I attempted to wrestle him down. He kept trying to punch me, and even elbowed me once in the face before I was able to trip him and take him down. I did my best to pin him, no hooks in case he picked me up and slammed me, but wasn't successful until he rolled towards me and I mounted him. He's mad. "I'll fucking kill you! Get off of me!" He tried to bench press me off of him and almost got up a couple times. He was strong. I told him I'm not getting off until he calms down. Now he started to punch, scratch, and bite me. In response, I gave a good couple hammer fists to get him to cover up, and once he did, I got higher up in his chest and pinned his arms to his head. We remained there until the cops came. Once they arrived, they ordered me to get off him, put me in cuffs. Hellfreezer's note, they have to do this in a situation before they work things out. Anyone could be at fault. I was put in a squad car until a cop came to get my statement and asked me what happened. I explained how they had wanted a refund and I couldn't give it to them since I'm just a delivery driver. The cop told me the wife called and said I threatened her and was assaulting her husband on their front lawn. He asked me if I had any way to prove my side. Lucky for me, I have a dash cam in my car. I left the windows down. My cam caught some of the action at the front door on the window, and the rest caught on the audio of him demanding a refund, threatening me telling him to back off, some audio of the struggle, him telling me he was going to kill me, and even me telling him to calm down. Apparently, a neighbor across the street had a Ring camera, and it also captured the incident with video and some audio. The cops then let me go. They got my info and told me that my story seemed straight. I pressed charges on him and was told by the cops that they would call me if they had more questions. I did report them to the app, included a copy of the police case number for the record in my county. Should be sufficient to get them banned. And for those thinking if I wanted to write a fake story, wouldn't I put in some spinning shit or something out of a John Wick movie? Like, come on. If I wanted to go down that route, might as well go 150 miles per hour down it. Also, to those who ask about injuries, nothing crazy. A bruise on my cheek, a bit of a busted lip, and he bit my finger pretty good. He was pretty hangry. But outside from that, I'm pretty okay. Nothing I haven't had before. Appreciate the support, though. 3. Okay, so let me give a little backstory. I let my pets stay outside all day, most of them. 11 chickens, 3 cats, 2 twins are now a year, and a Fleming rabbit. She's in a hutch, not out and around. And another bunny in the house. He has separation anxiety, so he can't be away from people for more than an hour or so. When no one's home, they're all in the house or a coop, chickens. My whole yard is fenced in, and we have a security system, so cameras. And my cats are chipped, thank God. Both of my kittens are, 1, scared of a lot of things. My blue vest one is better, but they don't like new people. The red one will freeze, so I guess that's how this story happened. They are my support cats. I have social anxiety, and some other things that I don't want to explain, but you fuck with friends, family, or my babies, my zoo, I snap. So this happened a few weeks ago. I was upstairs, nature called. I heard a lot of barking from the chickens. And I ran downstairs and saw my gate open. All my animals come to their names, I trained them for so long. I called them all, and after calling, my red cat S didn't come. I looked everywhere. I went to the front and found his vest. I called my dad, who's a literal sweetheart, until somebody hurts his family. My dad called the cops, while I called my brother, and a bunch of different pet stores and vets. A vet not far from my house says there's a cat that looks like that. I said to ask for a 10-second head boop after saying his name, and he did it, and my baby responded. I begged them to keep him there and told them he's microchipped and told them the names on it, my mom's and mine. When I got there, I was with my father, he's strong AF. He also called the cops back and explained. The lady was trying to leave. I guess it's good she took him to a vet for a checkup at least. She had my baby in her arms, and I said his name. Looking back, I probably screamed it because everyone there looked at us. He was on his back, and he hates it, so he scratched her, not badly, but ouch, and ran to me, so I picked him up and gave him a huge hug and gave him to my dad. He finally caught up. I ran up to the lady screaming, saying, "How dare you take my baby?" from his backyard. This woman had the audacity to say, "You have so many animals. I rescued him. He's so dirty. You shouldn't keep a cat outside." I was pissed. I said, "How dare you? He's fine. He can go outside whenever he wants." I started walking towards her, ready to hit her. My dad had S in one hand and grabbed my arm with his other. I guess someone offered to hold S after a while. My dad held me back in a tight bear hug. I was screaming at her, pissed. I don't really remember what she said because all I saw and heard was red, and the next thing I knew, the cops were there, and the Karen was trying to leave. But I guess me snapping or something kept her from leaving before the cops came. They arrested Karen and took the video of her trespassing, we have signs, and kidnapping. Law: all cats, domestic and feral, are protected by the Animal Welfare Act of 2006, and it is an offense to trap or intentionally kill or harm them in any way. Domestic cats are considered by law as the property of the owner, so anyone killing or injuring a cat can be charged under the Criminal Damage Act of 1971, and so they should be. I went home and cuddled my son crying. They still go outside, but now I'm almost always out there, or one of my family members is also out there. I got a call from her husband. I've no clue how he got my number. It might be on the police report. He was begging me to drop the charges. I asked, how would you feel if someone kidnapped your child or your pet that's family? In the end, he understood. I have flashbacks, and I start to have attacks. Thankfully, my boys are trained to tell when I panic. To that Karen, I hope you learn to try not to break up families. As of now, the charges are trespassing, kidnapping, animal endangerment, destruction of private property, and theft. To name a few, there are more that I'm unsure of. I also know that because they're both service, emotional support animals, there's that too. They got registered like 2 days before all this happened. I mostly did it for B, because he's not as squirmy and can calm me down faster. No charges will be dropped by me ever, so this might get very long. Update. A year later. I was busy with the case, then my job. The woman is in court-mandated counseling. Had to do over 1,000 or so hours of community service or do 3 months in jail. Guess what she picked? Well, her husband. Also, the agreement is if she passed everything, it would not be in the news or permanently in her record, sadly. My boys are still helping me get over that day. So now I hate being held even more, but does the head boops and gives kisses too. So kind of a good end for about a year-old story. Thank you to all. And my boys now have a big, technically younger puppy sister. Her name also starts with S. She's a character from the X-Men. 4. So many moons ago, I moved into an apartment, 2nd floor. At the time, I was about 21, and I'm a guy. Nice place and decent part of town. Not long after I moved in, I got noticed by one of my 2nd floor neighbors. Kept trying to look into my living room, though, around any way possible past my curtains. I need to tell you the layout of my apartment before I go any further. From front to back, I had a sunroom. Fully inside the house, but windows everywhere in this room that get a lot of light. And faces the street, and neighbors across the street are a church and a church parking lot, where we're all parked for street cleaning. Past the sunroom was the living room, from there into the kitchen, then to the hallway which leads to the bathroom and both bedrooms. Master bathroom being the last room in the back that also leads to a porch for our apartment. I would always be nice to anyone and would chat here and there with most of the neighbor ladies, which were all nice, all except for one. She thought she was queen of the street and had to know what everyone was doing at any time. She would constantly try to look through my windows to see what was going on in my apartment. She was about 65 years old too. I would always see her craning her neck and head around to see into my apartment. I would try to ask her to stop, but she would never answer her door. Finally, after about 6 months of this, I decided to give her something to look at. So one morning, I got a shower, put on a robe, and went out to the sunroom. I always had the curtains closed at night, and if I was undressed. I looked around the street and everywhere I could see to make sure no one was out and looking, but mainly wanted to make sure she was trying to look into my house. There she was, craning her neck, trying to look through my closed curtains. Me, still having my robe around me, opened the curtains, saw her again, trying to look into my apartment, opened my robe in full view in the middle of that window. I thought she had a heart attack since her face contorted, and she grabbed her chest. Of course, her being a Karen called the cops to try to get me arrested. Well, the cops show up at her place, then come over to mine. I got undressed by this time, so went downstairs to open the door and talk to them since I already knew what it was about.
Yeah, we got a report of you standing naked in front of your window.
Yeah, you want to know why? I'll tell you. Ever since I moved into my apartment, that old hag has been damn near breaking her neck to try to look into my apartment every day. Me and my roommate have tried to ask her to stop, but she never answers her door. I finally got tired of her being a peeping Tom and gave her something to look at. And before you say anything, no one else was around when I did it. It's not my fault her 65-year-old ass can't handle seeing what I have. The cops both laughed their asses off.
Okay, I'll go talk to her and tell her she can actually be arrested for peeping and making a false report. You want to press charges?
Nah, I think she learned her lesson, but if she didn't, she'll get it again. Next time it'll be a little more than she's gonna bargain for.
Just make sure no one's around if you have to do that again.
Yes, this actually happened, and yes, I actually did that. I have nothing to hide, and don't really care. If you want to break your neck looking into my house like you think you can, then don't be surprised at what you see. And don't complain about what you see when I finally get tired of that. And I flash you stark-ass naked. 5. I worked in the corporate office for a construction company, which also supported our call center and our remote offices. 8 remote offices when I was there. The remote offices were mainly just a warehouse to store our equipment and 1 or 2 rooms that were used for training and onboarding. The remote offices were all over the East Coast. This ticket was for a remote office about 2.5 hours away from the corporate office. This issue happened on a Friday. The office manager submits a ticket stating the printer is out of toner. I called them.
Thank God you called. I have 2 training classes and the printer is out of toner. I need you or someone to get here now to change this so I can finish up printing the new hire paperwork. It's been down for 20 minutes and they're coming back for lunch soon.
Okay, I understand. There should be toner in the closet next to your office. If you can get it, I can walk you through how to switch out the toner.
Oh no, honey, that's not my job. I don't work in IT. I need you or the vendor to come out and do the job we pay you to do.
The company I worked for had a big team player mentality, and that's not my job isn't taken very well. I sigh to myself. My team leader sits right in front of me, and we don't have a divider wall, so he can sense that something's going on at this point. Okay, so I just want to be clear, saying this so my team leader can hear what's going on. Your main printer is out of toner, and you have 2 training classes that are about to come back for lunch, and you are refusing to look for more toner in the closet to replace it because that's not your job. The team leader starts laughing a little because he knows who I'm talking to. This office manager has been with the company for a while and is well known to be a pain.
It's not my job. I just need this done or we can't continue with classes. And that will be on you to explain to the training manager, ops manager, and the owner.
This company is all about image, so any negative impact we could have on a new employee or customer is pretty much a death sentence. Okay, let me see what I can do for you. I'll give you a call back ASAP. I hang up. Is that the office manager from X office? Yep. They just need the toner replaced. Call warehouse employee and have him do it. He always likes to help. When you're done with warehouse employee, call her boss, the ops manager, and let him know. Alright, I call warehouse employee and ask him to replace the toner.
I think I just heard that convo you had with the office manager. They're a bit moody today, huh?
Yeah, you can say that again. They laugh louder.
Yeah, I'll replace the toner in 2 seconds.
I hear him replace the toner and I hear the printer start printing again.
Alright, man is all set.
I owe you a beer.
I'll remember that when I see you again.
I can now hear the office manager in the background asking the warehouse employee what he was doing. I hear him say that he replaced the toner and heard her getting mad but couldn't hear what she was saying.
You're gonna get a phone call, my guy. Brace yourself.
I heard some of that, yeah. Thanks for the heads up.
I got you.
He disconnects. She then calls my direct line. Hi, office manager.
Who do you think you are?
I'm sorry?
I am the office manager, and you don't have a right to call my employees and tell them to do things. I run this office, not you.
I'm sorry? I ran this issue by my team leader, and we both agreed the fastest way to get you back up and running was to have warehouse employee replace the toner since he knows and is willing to do it.
Stop having others do your job for you. Don't you ever do that again or I will have you wrote up.
Yeah, good luck with that, I thought to myself. Again, I apologize and tell office manager I will not do that again. They hang up. These calls are recorded. The team leader pulls all 3 calls and sends them to me. I called the ops manager and let him know what happened. I sent him the call recordings and he tells me to have a good weekend and he will take care of it. Monday morning when I get to the office, my team leader says, "Hey OP, check out the new HR workflow we got." I open our ticketing system and there it was. Office manager got terminated Friday after I left. The ops manager comes up to me about 20 minutes after I get in, apologizes to me about how the office manager treated me, and said that they were looking to get rid of her but needed a good reason, and they gave her a very good reason too. I get being frustrated at work and having a bad day, but damn, IT's just trying to help. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Idiots in the Wild, episode 81. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Before you go, if you could please boop the like button and share the video with friends and family members. And random passers-by. Right, let's see. I think we have another birthday shout-out to do today. We do. So let's get right to that. I had this one ready to go. There we go. I think this one goes to Julie Abraham. You'll see Julie in the comments sometimes. Yes, it does. Julie is 50 years young today, September 27th. Will I be doing a glitch video this month? No. I'll be doing one hopefully next month. We'll see, but I am working on a big Halloween video, and that's taking up a lot of my free time, which means it's not free time, it's work time. Okay. Right, let's see, we are on, right, it's the very end of the month, so you get a few extra days to celebrate your birthday. You're allowed to celebrate right through to the end of October, right, into the spooky season, so you can get spooky cakes and snacks as well. Just, you're sampling them to make sure they're okay, that's the official reason there, but do make sure you're spoiling yourself, Julie. Okay, now, before we go, I'm going to sing Happy Birthday, if I may. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Julie. Happy birthday to you. Okie dokie, let's see. I think, let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is, I've recently been browsing houses, right? No, not the big fancy house tours that I usually look at. That's not a word. That I usually look at on Ines Yillamazer's channel. Not those, right? Ones that might actually be affordable. And there's certain features that I've noticed that many of them have, and I'm sure there's a reason for it, but they always make me think, really? Why? That doesn't look good. Like, I'm seeing a lot of ones where there is no fence separating you from your neighbors in the front, or separating your home from the street, or your garden from the street, which personally, because I grew up with that, I really don't like it. Like, your property should be your property. And let's overlook the fact that a lot of them have HOAs, that's an immediate no for me. But are there any features that you find commonly in other houses, and this isn't an opportunity to insult people, it's a personal preference, of course. Any features that you yourself personally don't like that you find are quite common, or something that you don't have you might like to add? I've seen a lot of people, I like the idea of having a little extension with like a glass roof on it. It'd be hell to clean it, but it'd be nice when it's raining. But let me know what you think in a comment below. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.